Hey everyone, welcome to Red Fox Sewing and Crafting, and welcome to my craft room. I'm Joanna. So today we are going to be continuing our little folio. So we have our cover made and the inside done, and today we're going to work on the pages. So to do that, we will need let me look at my paper really quick. We need 5 6.5 by 7.5 inch pieces of cardstock. And we will be scoring all 5 of them on the 6.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. And then you will just fold right along your score mark that you made. So the first page we will be working on is going to be this page. This is our page pocket. Then we have our waterfall, our side flip page, our little pocket, our full page pocket, our magnetic flap, and then our double pocket. These are the pages we're going to be working on today. So to start out, you are going to need 2 pages You're going to need 2 pages for your pocket page. And what I did is cut a notch. I'm going to again use my notch punch to cut out a notch on my page and my 2 pattern papers, and then glue this on the other side. And I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Now that I covered my 2 pages in my pattern paper, and if you can see, I've also put 1/4 inch score tape on the tabs. The one with the notch, I put it on the opposite side, and then the one with this slim paper, since we're going to be covering it with the one with the notch, I put it on the same side. So since these are covered, now it's time to add them to the cover. I'm going to take this one first, take my little poke tool, remove the backing, and I'm just going to add a little bit of glue right on top, just like so. And then I'm going to line up my my hinge with the center of my page tab, because the pages are slightly longer than the tab, the hinge. And so I'm just going to kind of rub with my fingers along the hinge to get that stuck down as much as possible. And then I'm also going to sort of bend the page the other way so that it gets a little looser. I'm also going to do it to this page, just so that it makes it easier to move the page once it's put together. And I'm going to do the same thing with this page. Just backing off, put a little bit of glue right on top of the score tape. And then line it up with the first page that I put down, making sure that all of the sides match up. And then I'm just going to, again, rub my fingers along the hinge to get it as stuck down as possible. To make this a pocket page, I'm going to take my glue and just put glue along the two sides of the back page on the inside. And then I'm gonna just carefully press along the little bit of glue that I put to stick it down. Now I'm going to leave mine kind of the way that it wants to fall, just so that while we work on our next page, it will dry a little bit more, and then I can bend it again. So the next page is going to be our waterfall page. For this one, you will need one 5 1/4 by 7 1/4, and on the 7 1/4 inch side, you are going to score at 4 1/4, 4 3/4, 5 1/4, 5 3/4, 6 1/4, and 6 3/4. You will need a 5 1/4 by 6 3/4 page, and you're just going to leave it just like this, no scoring. You need a 2 1/4 by 6 3/4, and on the 6 3/4 side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch on both sides. You will need 6 4 1/4 by 5 1/4 pages. And you're not going to be scoring these. You're just going to leave them like this. And then you will need 1 1 by 2 and on the 2-inch side you're going to be scoring at 1. And I just covered mine with a little bit of pattern paper, and I just did that because they're so tiny. I didn't want to lose them, so I just glued them on really quickly. Okay, so we are going to build the main part of our waterfall first. So what you're going to do is fold along all of your score marks on the 5 1/4 by 7 1/4 inch piece of paper, just like this. So grab your 4 1/4 by 5 1/4 inch pieces of paper, and I'm just going to turn mine around so that it's easier for me to stick down my papers. And I'm going to take my glue and just run a small bead of glue at the very top, and making sure not to go over the score mark that I made. I'm going to line up my first one right below. And it'll line up pretty good. Just like that. So when you bend it back, your cardstock doesn't bend back with the score mark. So again, a little bit of glue at the top, and place it right underneath the next score mark. Just like that. So you're going to do that to all 6 of your pieces. And I'll show you what to do next. Now that we have all 6 of our waterfall pieces on our back scored piece, we are going to take the top tab, fold it over to the back. We're just going to add glue all over this, just like so. And then you're going to take your 5 1/4 by 6 3/4 page, and you're going to stick your waterfall right on top, just like so. Now you don't have to do this part, but I'm going to take some pattern paper and glue it onto my 5 1/4 by 6 3/4 page, right over the tab that I just glued on the top of it. Now you're going to take your 2 1/4 by 6 3/4 piece and your 1 by 2 inch piece. I covered mine. This piece isn't going to show too much, but I still did it anyway. You are going to take this piece and you are going to glue it as far as you can on the back of your bottom waterfall piece. So right here between the 5 1/4 by 7 1/4 inch piece and your bottom waterfall. And as you can see, there is a little bit of my pattern paper showing on the sides. So if you wanted to, you can do this. You can cover it up, or if you don't want to, you don't have to. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on my tab and then center it on the back piece. So the 5 1/4 by 6 3/4 inch piece of paper, and just stick it down in the center, just like so. And then once this tab is stuck down, you'll be able to bring it up and down, just like that. So I'm going to stick it down, but first, if you want paper underneath, you need to glue it down. So I'm going to do that really quick here. Now that I've put my pattern paper on, I can stick my waterfall right in the center. And as you can see, I bent my page a little bit so that it can fold easier. But once you fold it over multiple times, it'll get easier and easier to bend. So I'm going to flip it to the back like this, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on these two tabs. And then I'm just going to take this and center it on my page, making sure that my tab is also on the page and not peeking out from the bottom. Now, if you're having problems like I am, as you can see, mine's not sticking very well, I'm just going to take some of my score tape and just stick them on the tabs, and then I'm going to put a little bit more glue on that, and that way the tape will stick it down while the glue is drying, so that it'll definitely stick and be permanent on my page. So again, I'm going to line everything up, making sure that it's as centered as possible, and then I'm going to stick down the 2 tabs. And because I have tape, it should stick down better. And there you go. And when I pull the tab, it goes up and down, just like that. So our next page is the side flap page. And the way we make this one is a little different. Our flat page is actually going to be right here. Then we have an extension on this side, and then another smaller flap on this side, which covers our hinge. So you will need one of your pages, and then you'll also need a 6 by 7.5 and a 7.5 by 9 1/4. On your 6 by 7.5 inch page, you're going to lay it along the 6 inch side, and you're just going to score at 1/2 inch. On your 7.5 by 9 1/4, you're going to line it up on the 9 1/4 inch side, score it 1/2 inch, and then flip it around, and you're going to score at 4 inches. So just fold along your score marks that you made, and on your two 1/2 inch tabs, you're going to put score tape. To make the extension, we're going to take our 2 scored piece, our 7 1/4, or no, 7.5 by 9 1/4 inch piece, and we're going to remove the score tape off of the 1/2" tab that we created. And then we're going to take our page piece, and then with the score tape going up, you are going to line it up, making sure take the score backing off the tape, add a little bit of glue. There we go. Add a little bit of glue. And then you're going to take your page piece with the score tape going up and line up your page, making sure that you're not going over your score mark. So once your page is on, you should be able to fold over your paper without any hindrances at all. Now, we're going to put these on. So we're going to be working on our single hinge on the right side. So I'm going to do, again, I'm going to do the back one first. Remove my score tape. Put a little bit of glue along the score tape. And I'm going to carefully line it up. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually lay your page on top of the pages we already put down so that it's level with the others. And then I'm going to just go in and run my fingers along the hinge to make sure that it's stuck down. And then I'm going to take my smaller piece and do the exact same thing on the other side of my hinge. So since this is a side flap piece, we aren't going to glue the pages together. Instead, we are going to be using 2 more magnets to close it up. So I'm going to take one of my magnets and a little bit of score tape. And I'm just going to stick it in a good place on the outside of the smallest flap I have. And then I'm going to take a little bit more score tape. Another one of my magnets. And then checking to make sure that's the right way. Going to stick my score tape right on top with the tape up, stick my magnet on top, and then I'm going to carefully line up my pages, my flaps, and then stick the score tape down. And then it'll close. Okay, next one we're going to do is going to be the pocket flap. The full page pocket. So to do this, you will need one 5.5 by 7 and one 5 3/4 by 6. Take your 5 3/4 by 6, line it up on the 5 3/4 side, and score at 1/2 inch. Then you're going to take your 5.5 by 7 inch piece with a 7 inch at the top and score at 1/2 inch on either side. Now, if you are going to be covering this with pattern paper, you'll need to cover your one side of your 5.5 by 7 inch piece, one side of your 5 3/4 by 6 inch piece, and then the top part of the back side of your flat page, making sure that it goes a little farther down than where your 5 1/4 by 7 inch piece would land from the top. So once I cover all my papers, I will be back to show you how to put this together. Okay, I have covered my pages with paper. I'm going to take my top flap and add a little bit of score tape to the back side, right across the 1/4 inch tab, or the 1/2 inch tab. Put a little bit of glue. Maybe. Over my score tape. And then I'm going to go back to the side flaps, and I'm going to line this up with the top of the base page right below the score line, so that my tab is on the other side. I'm now going to carefully line up my pocket, and I'm going to take a ruler I'm going to go about 1 inch from the top 1.5. Make a mark right there, and then on the bottom I'm going to make a 1-inch mark in the center. If you wanted it closer together, you can make it closer. If you wanted it farther apart, you can make it farther. Now, I'm going to take my pokey tool and I'm going to poke a hole where I made my 2 marks. You want to be careful though not to poke anything else. You just want to poke that small hole. So now I'm going to set this aside for now, and I have a piece of scrap pattern paper and scrap of black paper, and I'm going to grab a small circle punch. This is probably about 3/4 of an inch, maybe 3/4, and out of my pattern paper I'm going to punch out 2 circles, and then my cardstock I'm going to punch 6. So I'm going to glue 3 of my black circles together. And then I'm going to put one of my pattern pieces right on top. And I'm going to do it with my other 4 circles. Glue 3 circles on top like this. And then the patterned paper. And now I'm going to take my pokey tool and I'm going to stab in the center as best I can. So they'll have something like that. Now that my two circles have holes in them, I'm going to grab two tiny brads and I'm just going to poke them in the center, just like so. And now I made this funky little tool here. And I'm going to put this I'm going to put my circle with the brad in the groove like this. And then I'm going to put the brad in the hole that I made in my flap, and then just take my pokey tool and start flattening it out. And then double-sided tape on the back of this one, just so that my brad doesn't poke through. And I'm going to do the same with the bottom of, with my pocket. So just take the brad through the groove, poke it through the hole, and then flatten out. And with my pocket here, so I'm not putting anything on the back of it, I'm just going to take a little bit of Scotch tape and put it right over, just like that. Now this wasn't my idea. I don't remember whose it was, but if I can find a video of her explaining how she does it, I will link it down below for you. Now I'm going to take my pocket and add a little bit of score tape just to the sides of the front, and then flip it around, and then add score tape to the bottom of the back. I'm going to remove the tape on all three sides, sticking the bottom corner down. On both my flaps. And then I'm going to line up my pocket with the bottom and this side, and just stick it down, just like that. And then you have a nice little pocket. Now, to make this stay closed like this, I have a little bit of twine here, or yarn. I'm just going to take a little bit of this, cut some off, And then I'm going to turn it around so that the flap is closest to me. And then since you used that little piece of cardboard, or since I did, I'm going to have a little space there so I can easily slide this under. And then I'm going to tie this a couple times here to get it secure. And then I'm just going to snip off the excess of the small side. And now I can wrap this around a few times until I'm happy with it. And then cut off the excess. And that is the pocket page. Next page we are going to work on is the magnetic flap. So for your magnetic flap, you will need one 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 inch page and two 3 3.5 by 6 inches. Take your two 3.5 by 6, put it at the 3.5 at the top, score it half on both. Right down the side. And with this one, we're going to use some magnets. Again. So grab one of your last pieces and so grab one of your pages, making sure that when it's folded over, like this. Okay. Once it's folded over, grab one of your pages, making sure that your score tape is on the bottom of your left side, so that it's on the right side when you flip it over, because we're going to be attaching this to the hinge and we want it on the left side when you flip it over. And then we're going to grab the flaps, score along the score mark you made, and we're going to put score tape along the flap. So, score tape score tape with a little bit of glue. And then you're going to put one of your flaps on the bottom, making sure that your score line lines up with the bottom of your page, so that when you fold it over, none of the bottom shows. And you might have to get it lined up a couple times. You might have to, it's trial and error. Just like that. And you're going to do the same thing with your other one. With score tape, put a little bit of glue at the top, or on the score tape, and then line up the top with the page, just like so. So then you have two flaps. So now we're going to grab our magnets, our 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 inch page, and some score tape. So this time we're going to need 4. 2 on the bottom flap, 2 on the top. So I'm actually going to line up my first 2 magnets on this side of my page. Just like so, so that my magnets aren't too far into my page. And then I'm going to grab 2 more magnets with score tape, and then as we've done with all of the other magnets, place them on top of the first 2 magnets. Now, I'm going to take my page with the magnets on, make sure that my 2 flaps are closed, and as best as I possibly can, I'm going to line up my page to my 2 flaps, just like this. And then I'm just going to carefully stick down the score tape so that when I lift up my page, my 2 flap magnets are on my flaps. Then when I put my page back on, it sticks. So let's bring in our cover again to our second hinge on the left, and then we're going to remove the backing off the score tape, put a little bit of glue on the hinge, or on the tab, And then again, line this up where you want it to on your hinge and carefully stick it down in place. Okay, we have one more page to go, and that is the double pocket page. For your double pocket page, you will need one 5.5 by 7 and one 3 by 7. And on both pages, you will line it up at the 7-inch side and score at 1/2 inch on both sides. Again, line it up at the 7-inch side and score at 1/2 inch on both sides. Since these are pockets, it'll be easiest to cover the top of your page, making sure that your score tape is on the inside or underside on your right this time. And then cover the top of that, making sure that it covers to just below your 5.5 by 7-inch piece, and then covering both of your pocket pieces. And I'm going to put notches in both of my pockets. And then when we come back, I'm going to show you how to put this last page together, and then we're going to put it in our folio. My 3 pieces are covered, and now it's time to put it all together. I'm going to fold on my score marks that I made. And then I'm going to take my small pocket and put a little bit of score tape on 2 tabs and the bottom. Just like the large pocket page with the flap. And I'm going to remove the backings, and then I'm going to take my second pocket, making sure the tabs are folded in, and I'm going to take my small pocket and line it up to the bottom and sides of my larger pocket, just like so. Again, tape on both tabs and across the bottom. I'm going to remove the backing of the bottom. I'm going to stick the bottom parts of the two tabs on the tape and then remove the backing on my tabs. And bring in my page, and then I'm going to line up the left side and the bottom with the left side and bottom of my page. Stick it down, and our last page is complete, and now all we have to do is stick it in our folio. This one is going to be a little different because we don't have anything going on between these two pages. So I'm just going to stick it together just like I did with my others. But this time I'm going to take slightly bigger tape here. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. You could just use glue. I'm going to do this so that the tape holds my pages together while the glue dries. I'm going to remove the score tape backings. And then I'm going to cover this whole side with glue. Even over the score tape. Then stick the two pages together, and there you go. You have your third page. And now your whole folio is complete. Next week, when we come back together, I will show you how to make the photo wallet that I made. So I hope you join me next week, and I will see you later. Bye.